Hello and welcome. Today's topic is about oxalate dumping and blood flows. And the reason that I have an interest in talking about this today is because I've noticed a certain phenomenon in myself. Being a tennis player, I'm very active on the tennis court and I utilize certain musculature during playing tennis. And I have noticed that with oxalate dumping while you're doing strenuous exercises, it actually tends to target the areas of the highest blood flow. So, for example, in terms of a tennis player such as myself, where I am mainly right handed, I've noticed that the areas of high blood flow are going to be the areas of strain during hitting the ball, doing different strokes. And I've noticed, first of all, that my elbow was targeted, giving me the symptomatology of actually golfer's elbow rather than tennis elbow. Either can be caused by tennis. So I had that for a while during oxalate dumping. After I resolved that, which took a couple of months, then continued to play again. And I noticed that the biceps tendon, which I'm now using for my forehand, was targeted. And this is all happening, I'm pretty convinced, because of the oxalate dumping and the oxalates ending up in the areas of high blood flow. That has necessitated in me the need to obviously handle this oxalate dumping. And that's why I have originally set up my protocol that I've talked about in a previous video for assisting with removing the effects of oxalate dumping from the system as soon as possible. I know that Sally K. Norton talks about taking extended periods of time in the terms of years to resolve or try resolve this oxalate dumping. I personally believe there are faster protocols that will allow one to get rid of these oxalates in a much more timely fashion. So that's why I'm looking for people for my study into the effects of my protocol on oxalate dumping and see if we can come up with a better way. So far, I've been using it on myself. I've been very pleased so far with the results. I was getting also a lot of mental fogginess from the oxalate dumping. I notice on the protocol this gets relieved very quickly and haven't had a problem with it since being on the protocol. And I'm keen to have a bank of people try it out. Um, Please let me know if you're interested. I know I was asking for a fee, but kind of at the point now where I'll just ask you to give me what you think you can afford, because I really want to try get this protocol going. Unfortunately, I cannot fund it myself, so that's why I'm asking for assistance if I'm going to help people get themselves back into shape and spend the time doing that. I hope you will take part in the study, and I hope this particular video helps. Yeah, one of the interesting things I was thinking about also in terms of oxalates, as you may already know, if you've been following all the most current videos about it in the carnivore space, is a molecule that's just slightly larger than the water molecule. So it pretty much penetrates everything, penetrates into the cell at a micro/nano level and causes all kinds of toxic damage, even at a metabolic level, interfering with the mitochondria and all cellular organelles. So it's causes all kinds of problems. And my theory is this stuff just continues to basically solidify and basically to accumulate is a better word in the cell. So it's kind of the analogy I think of is it's kind of like you've got a finely tuned machine, which is the human body and its cells, and you're kindly just continually gumming it up, adding the stuff that just sticks and stays in everything. So if you have a small amount that goes in and out, it causes very little damage to the machine. However, if it's just accumulated over years, it continues to gum up the system to the point where this machine no longer can work, or eventually in its desperation to try to keep working, it kind of spins out of control, creating all kinds of metabolic problems, as we know, interferes with electrolyte metabolism. I believe it interferes with the sugar metabolism and those cycles, as well as just the physical damage that it's doing. Eventually, the cell itself tries to deal with it, but reaches a point where it just kind of spins out of control, leading to carcinogenesis, which I believe it may be involved with. I also believe it's involved with the causation of atherosclerosis, so heart disease and things like that. Um, from what I'm told by Susan Owens and Sally K. Norton and the like, is that it's very hard to detect on microscopy, as it's water soluble, so it goes in and out, very hard to detect. So hard to prove this theory other than by doing practical experimentation in terms of a proof of model, which I've talked about before as well. So I hope people will listen to this and come on board. And if you have any questions, please comment on the videos and I'll try answer as best as I can. I know there are some concerns in this field, but the reality is we've been following such wrong information for so long. Doesn't it make sense to try something probably less invasive than eating sugar our whole lives versus cholesterol? I mean, it's so totally crazy. And I notice as soon as I come up with a new idea, somebody will come out to try and kill the idea. Come on, guys, at least give it a chance. Try it out for yourself. Do it for a few weeks. See if it makes a difference to you before you try to kill something that you know absolutely very little about. And in fact, most people seem to know very little about it. And even the research is not being done on the areas because, first of all, the research is very hard to do. And second of all, there's a lot of agendas. So it's just not happening. Anyway, I think that's all for today. Thanks for listening and hope this is of some value to some people. The one other thing I did want to say while I'm thinking about it regarding the oxalates is being such a small molecule, the area in the blood vessel where fluids will leak out into the tissue is known as the capillary. It's basically a unicellular lining of the very small vessels known as capillaries, which are really the bridges between the arterial system and the venous system, the arteries and the veins. So it kind of goes artery, which is a very thick wall, goes narrower and narrower to a little capillary, and then goes into the bigger veins, which are not a very thick wall. The arteries have smooth muscle in the wall. The veins have very little smooth muscle. So the arteries are much thicker, but the pressure of the artery will push fluid, which includes the oxalate, into the tissues when the areas of high blood flow or high stress, such as high blood pressure, things like that, which is the cause of basically some causes of edema and high blood pressure and things like that in the ankles and the like. So just be aware of that fact. I'm sure the oxalates is just being pushed into these tissues in these zones, which explains why areas of high blood flow are affected during strenuous exercise. Depending on the exercise, the different areas are going to be stressed. That's why I know also was another reason why I kind of want to bring this up. I know a lot of the carnivore experts are pushing, this high intensity exercise, which I think is probably good overall. But just be aware of if you're having an oxalate dumping episode and then you start lifting heavy weights, it's just going to be pushing all these oxalates into that area of strain. So just something to be aware about. I highly recommend going on the protocol before trying something like that. And I hope this finds somebody's ear so that if it is valid, which I believe it to be, it can get into the mainstream media. Anyway, that's enough for now. Thanks so much again for listening, and hopefully talk to you soon. Take care.